Hi everyone, and welcome to the Mobile Deep Linking webinar. I'm Sabina, I'm the Marketing Director at Shortcut Media, and today I will talk to you about Mobile Deep Linking. With me here I have Severin, our developer, and throughout the webinar you can ask questions in the chat window and Severin will answer them as I speak. And to enable the chat, you need to click on the, there's a little icon on the left-hand side of your screen, and that will enable you to chat with Severin throughout the call. Also, after the call, we will stay online for a little bit if you happen to have any questions that come throughout the presentation or after the presentation as well. So we're going to stay online to be able to answer all your questions about mobile deep linking. So let's start with the agenda. Many of you might wonder what mobile deep linking is, so I will start by answering that question. Then we will dive deeper into the amazing benefits that mobile deep linking brings to your user journey, your marketing communication, and to your results. Finally, we will also look briefly into how easy it is to set up mobile deep linking for your app. So let's start with mobile deep links. Mobile deep linking is when you direct your customer to your in-app content or specific features within your app instead of directing them to your front page of your app. So to illustrate this, I would like to use an example. Let's say you send a newsletter out to all your customers, and you have this amazing blue shoes that are 80% off right now, and this you want to promote in your newsletter. Your customer gets this newsletter and they click on your ad. And if you're not using mobile deep links, your customer is going to end up on your front page of your app. With mobile deep links, however, your customer will, instead of ending on the front page of your app, where they're going to end up deeper in your content and directly on the promotion page for your blue shoes that are minus 80% off, and here they can get them for $20 and they can buy them here. So this was scenario one. In scenario one, the app is already installed on the smartphone of your user. But what happens if your user doesn't have your app installed yet on their smartphones? I'd like to use the same example with the newsletter and the blue shoes promotion. And your user who doesn't have your app installed on their smartphone yet, they get this newsletter and they click on your ad. And these users are going to end up in the App Store. They download the app, they install it, and they click to open your app, and they land on the first page of your app. However, with deferred deep linking, you can, even after they've installed your app, you can send them right through to the in-app content that you were promoting in the first place. So as you can see, there's a lot of benefits that you can get from mobile deep linking. And especially your user journey is going to be a much more smoother. Speaking of user journeys, I would like to talk a little bit about the benefits that you have from using mobile deep linking in your app. Let's start with the smoother user journey. So your users get less frustrated, first of all, because their user journey is not going to be it's not going to be cut at any point. You also send the right users to the App Store. So you only send the users that don't have your app installed. You only send these ones to the App Store. Your users are going to be more engaged because they land on the content that they were looking for. And your users are going to be more likely to return because of the positive experience that they've had in your app. All of this results in more downloads for your app because you're sending the correct people to the App Store. you're going to get more engagement in your app because your app users are going to land on the correct content, and you get more re-engagement in your app because of the positive user experience. Secondly, you get more visibility in the search engine result pages with your app when you're using mobile deep links. So a little bit of background to this benefit is that Google has started indexing and showing not only apps, but also in-app content on their search engine result pages. Also, in the new update for the iPhone, there was an update to the search function. You can now, in addition to finding apps in the search function on your iPhone, also find in-app content. So this is amazing and gives marketers so many new opportunities. Your app can be found in the search engines by new users. When users click on your search results, they are directed to the right content, and they are more likely to be more engaged with your app. And I mentioned earlier that new users can find your app in the search engine result pages, but also your old users can re-engage with your app by using, for example, Google or another search function, and they will be able to, and you will be able to re-engage your customers to your app with by using mobile deep linking. So you get more visibility, you get more engagement, and you get more re-engagement. And last but not least, a great benefit for marketers is that you can actually start marketing your in-app content instead of only marketing your app. So before mobile deep linking, app marketing was more about going out with the message, here's my great app, download it. Now you can target your communication so much better and say, hey, we have this awesome feature and this awesome piece of content. Why don't you go in and have a look? So this results in that you get more clicks for your ads because your ads can be more targeted to the customers. You get more engagement because, again, the app user is going to be directed into the correct content that they wanted to see in the first place. And your existing customers are going to be more re-engaged in your app. Also because you can target your advertising to your already existing users better with mobile deep linking. So this all sounds amazing, right? And mobile deep linking really comes with so many benefits for your app marketing. But is it complicated to install? The answer is no. You can install mobile deep linking and deferred deep linking in 3 short steps. We start with the customer, a customer that's a little bit frustrated, and our goal is to get him a little bit less frustrated. So we start by defining, to define and develop a URI scheme. The second step is that we implement the handler, and the third step is that we enable the deferred deep linking. This all sounds awfully technical, and it sort of is. So you need to involve your app developer in this whole process. But let me demystify all of these 3 steps a little bit in the next few slides. So step 1, the part where we define and develop the URI scheme. It might sound technical, but actually you know URI schemes from website URLs already. It's the HTTP part. Or for emails, for example, it's mail to. For apps, you also define a URI scheme. And here you can see also a few examples from well-known brands like Facebook. Facebook's URI scheme is FB, Vimeo for Vimeo, and Pinterest for Pinterest. So you need to create or define and develop a URI scheme for your app. In my example here, it's called My Company. And yes, as I said earlier, you need to ask your developer for your app developer for help on this. So the next step is that we implement the handler. The handler is the URL structure of the destination for a specific app content. So for an app, you have to implement this structure because otherwise you won't have anywhere to direct your customers to. In the third bullet point, you'll be able to see an example or the example from the previous slide where we defined the scheme. We defined my company. And in the example, in the third bullet point, you can see that the handler actually looks a little bit like a URL, or it resembles it a lot at least. And again, this step is also, you need to ask your app developer for a little bit of help here. The third step, in the third step, we enable deferred deep linking. And for deferred deep linking, Shortcut has an SDK. Our SDK is very simple to implement for your app, but there are also other alternatives that you can use as well. What the SDK does is that it earmarks your customer or your user so that the right destination can be matched to this specific user when they open the app for the first time. So what do we end up with? A user that's no longer frustrated, or he's at least a little bit less frustrated. And yes, you also end up with a lot of additional benefits in addition to the no longer frustrated user. Let's summarize a little bit what we've talked about today in this webinar. I've taken you through what mobile deep linking is. We've talked about the customer who has your app installed. We've also talked about the customer who doesn't have your app installed yet. And we've talked about deferred deep linking, the part where we send the customer, instead of sending him after he's installed the app, we can still send him to the correct content within your app. We've also looked at the different benefits that you have or that you get when you use mobile deep linking. You get more clicks, you get more downloads, more app engagement, and more re-engagement. And we've demystified the installation process or the implementation process of mobile deep linking as well. What I forgot to mention earlier is that when I share this webinar slideshow with you, I'm also going to include the links to Apple and Android documentation and to our SDK that you can use to implement mobile deep linking for your app as well. Good. So at this point, I would like to thank all of you for your attention, and thank you all for joining us today for this little or for this brief information blast about mobile deep linking. I hope you've learned something here today. And as I promised earlier, Severin and I are going to stay online and answer your questions. You can still ask your questions in the chat window, and we will be able to answer you there. Thank you. Okay, so we've had the chance to answer a few questions in the chat window, and I just wanted to also tell them to you verbally in case someone missed them in the chat. One question was if you're able to implement mobile deep linking for if it has to be an already existing app, or if you can implement it already before you have launched your app. Both of these scenarios work, so you can implement mobile deep linking both before launch and after launch. Both ways mobile deep linking will work for your app. Another thing that came up was that the SDK that Shortcut Media can provide you with, that SDK is for free. And yes, I think that there's not going to be any more questions. So Celine and I want to thank you for your attention, and we're happy to have had you in our webinar. And if you have any questions that come up later, you can always contact us, and we will be happy to help you. Thank you.